Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 914. Tonight, going to talk about power outages. I have been suffering through for a week. A couple nights, had to stay at a hotel because the outages are just so bad. Lot of listener email. Going to follow up on a couple topics that I know I've been mentioning, and I'm just going to briefly talk about that. But the listener email, buying systems, got some comments. Notion and Evernote alternative, a review. Rocketbook, Hotmail issues and suggestions, and Mac maintenance suggestions. Let's see. Also, comment on QuickBooks and some other topics. So we got lots of email. But first, I got to address power outages. Now, last week I recorded the show on Saturday with no issues. I think Saturday was the only clean day of power where I had no problem recording the show. Thursday, even though I had client work, there wouldn't have been a show anyway. I had a power outage on Thursday night. So I had already rescheduled the show and then lost power. So I would have had trouble recording Thursday night anyway. So now the big outage, the biggest, the longest, was Sunday. About 1:30, boom, power goes down here. And I was like, okay, we'll give it a wait. And I kept calling Pico and getting their message, and they had no ETA for I guess it's a ETR, estimated time of recovery. So I would call every 15, 20 minutes until finally I got we expect power to be restored by 3 a.m. And I'm like, oh, no. This is no good, because it was pretty hot and humid on Sunday, and I'm already hot. The temperature in the house rose to 80 degrees with no air conditioning, and I was like, that's it. It's hotel time. Bring up my Marriott app. I have a ton of points. I get a room nearby at the Fairfield Inn, and I quickly throw stuff together. My wife is down the shore with the grandkids for the day, and so I tell her, hey, when you come back, just come to the hotel. And I spend Sunday night in the hotel, come back Monday. Monday seems to be okay with power. Not Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, bang, down. And down all night again. Tuesday, we end up at a hotel again. I use my points, but this one, the outage was so bad that I couldn't even book a room in some of the nearby hotels. I had to go a little further for a Marriott so I could use my points, because they were all booked up, because everybody was doing that, because my whole neighborhood and beyond was without power. It's amazing. It just rains. Here you go. Now we're Thursday. Oh, last night I lost power for a few hours, but I hung in there. This afternoon lost power. It didn't even rain. The electrical infrastructure in my area in Pennsylvania is so weak. Now you're like, if you're a long-time listener, you're saying, Mike, don't you have a generator? Well, yes, I do. It's a portable generator, and it has not been maintained or turned on for at least 3 years. So, and I've been very fortunate. There's been no outages. Well, that's changed because I already put a request in to electrician that my oldest son knows, because the guy who hooked me up before is no longer doing anything like that. Who originally hooked this up for me. I do have a nice portable generator, but it's manual. There's a manual switch, and I don't mind. It doesn't have to be automatic. So he's going to come out. We're going to check everything out, get it hooked up to where all I got to do is go out back and turn a switch, hit a button, and do a pull, get it going. And then I just got to make sure that we regularly check and fill it up with fuel. It just takes regular gasoline, and I will, at least be okay. And I know we had a sustained power outage years ago in this house with that generator, and I successfully recorded a show because I was able to power up the whole room and the refrigerators and a couple things. And then what we do to balance the generator, there's switches. I'll take off maybe the downstairs except for the refrigerators, and then move it to upstairs as we go to bed. So we can hook fans up or things upstairs. I do have the portable air conditioner that will work. And one of the things, it won't be easy to get upstairs, but we could do that. Or I could just move mattresses down here and sleep in my office here. That's one. Two, with these power problems, there's like false startups. Like the lights will come on for a minute, things will start to boot, and then down again. It did that last night 5 times, where it would come on for like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then down. That is so bad for hardware that I pulled the plugs on everything in this room. It was terrible. I had to. And then it finally came on, and I didn't want to plug anything in until it was on for a half hour. And even then, I'm not trusting it. So this a lesson I should have learned on Sunday. I should have had that call to the electrician earlier than today, but I'm finally on track, and I should be good. I got to buy UPSs for some test equipment that I keep on, especially the system behind me. And then my main system here, I have to have a UPS. Now, as you know, when I do the show, when I'm in Florida, I have 2 nice UPSs for all the equipment in my office. And they're just teeny little spikes that happen every now. I've never had any kind of an extended power outage. And I live in the state that has the most hurricanes ever, and still have not lost power like I lose up here in Pennsylvania. Just terrible. All right, let's get to the topics and the email. I got to follow up on 2 things from previous shows. SharePoint. One of the things I learned in rolling out an invitation that had to go to 45 people for a very particular SharePoint site, and some of them, most of them, don't have a Microsoft online account. So how do you sign in? With the invitation, before that, I had them send some instructions. If they have a Microsoft account, just sign in. They'll get access to the site. If they don't, and this, my son and I just figured out, when it asks you to sign in, put the email, but don't put a password, and then go to other methods of signing in. It'll give you a one-time code. So even if you don't have a Microsoft account, you can still use for the SharePoint. That was awesome, getting that worked out. Local account. Last show, I had a link with a YouTube and a couple emails about logging in to Windows 11 Pro, but picking work or school, pick to join a domain, and just type the account name you want to create, and it will create the local account. That is awesome, and it worked on a brand new Dell that's being rolled out for a client. So I wanted to give a thumbs up for that great recommendation, and everybody who recommended that, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it. It works perfectly. Okay. Now, upgrade. Let's talk about hold on, what are we going to talk about first? We have give me a second. Let's talk about the upgrades from Hotmail to Outlook.com. And let's get to some emails here. And this is a great recommendation by Bill. And he goes, this is what the person that had a Hotmail question should do. And who knows how long Microsoft will keep Hotmail alive. And there's a link, and that's going to be the first link in the show notes, and it's how to use an Outlook.com and create an alias to your Hotmail. Bill, it's a great recommendation, but that doesn't solve his problem because it's trying to he is trying to use Outlook 365 and it fails every couple days. It continues to fail, almost like they're having server problems, but they're not, because if he goes and logs onto the web, just going to Outlook.com, he can sign in with his Hotmail with no issue. So we're still having a problem with that. This is from Bob, and it's an Outlook client. Give a listen to as I read this. Hi, Mike. I was listening to your latest podcast, 913. I have run into the same issue with Outlook, email clients, and Hotmail. I had the same issue using POP3 and Outlook 2010. I tried to change it to IMAP, and I thought I fixed it, but then it popped back up. I tried a bunch of their other suggested fixes, but nothing fixed it permanently. I tried updating passwords, clearing cache credentials, temporarily disabling two-factor authentication, etc., and nothing fixed it. What fixed the issue for me was moving from Outlook 2010 to Outlook 2021. However, I still have systems running Outlook 2010, and they still work fine. Yet this is very puzzling. Now, my client doesn't have that old. He has a current, Outlook Microsoft 365. I did find this article that explains why it doesn't work anymore. However, it doesn't explain why my other systems running Outlook 2010 are still working. I guess I will hold out until September 16th and see what happens. Modern authentication methods are now needed to continue syncing Outlook email in non-Microsoft email apps. That is very interesting. And he goes into the authentication timeline. And the transition timeline is June 11th, 2024. Basic authentication end of support timeline communicated, end of 2024. Outlook account activity using basic authentication contacted via email. And September 16th, basic authentication no longer available to access any Outlook account. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to definitely run into that. Hope this helps, or hope you find a solution that works permanently. Bob, thank you for all of that. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to talk about new systems. And I have a friend, Joe, that bought a computer, and I have a separate email that I'm going to discuss what he ran into with that system that he purchased. First, he writes, I am going with the Windows 11 Pro PC that I asked your opinion of. Boy, I kind of regret giving him the opinion I did. It looked fine, and I said, yeah, go for it. It was a good price of a few weeks ago. Since Windows 10 support is going away shortly, I was thinking that this might be a great time to have a show based on what your followers need to do when going to a new machine. Things like transferring your programs, what kind of security you should with Java, and things like that. Thanks again for your help. All right, this is a great question. I have minimum requirements for a system. If it's just at home, personal, I don't mind Windows 11 Home, but I really encourage everybody to go with Windows 11 Pro. 16 gig of RAM is the absolute minimum RAM that I want for a system. Hard drive, obviously solid state drive, NVMe, but 512 gig or more. When you see small drive sizes, like they should outlaw 128 gig. And I've seen systems with 64 gig. That's insane. Windows takes more than that. You can't even do proper updates with that. Avoid Windows S. Just avoid that. It's like having a tablet. You can't run regular software. You can only get software that is available in the Microsoft Store. Once you have the hard drive size, now it comes to processor, and that's just based on your budget. The latest shipping processor, where I think it's 14th generation, I have no problem with a Core i5 latest generation. If you have the money, go to Core i7. I avoid Core i3. 5 or 7, based on the generation, you can get a good price. A new system that's maybe a year old in stock, that's a Core i5, not a problem. And you'll get a very attractive price. So now, when it comes to software, I use Fab's Auto Backup for transferring data. There's lots of good software out there that you could even just manually copy your data. The biggest thing is when you're transferring, you got to have the licensing and the software to download. Maybe you've already downloaded it to another drive. Make sure you have that for all the programs that you want to install. Second, backup. Obviously, get your data backed up so you can then restore it or copy it to the new system. Now, for security, I'm still using Malwarebytes Premium. I use it. It works. It hasn't disappointed me. They haven't had the issues that they had years ago where, with problems with accessing the internet or a constant reboot. They had some growing pains in the beginning. They have definitely matured to the point where we don't have those issues anymore. So Malwarebytes Premium, recommend. Also, don't install Java. There's no reason. Java should only be installed if the software that you're running needs to install it. That's it. Very simple. From a security standpoint, I keep all of the Windows Defender settings set. That comes by default with Windows, and you make sure the firewall is still remained on. If you're just at home and this is your system, that's fine. If you're doing work remotely, then you got to follow the guidelines of the IT department that they recommend. There might be special VPN software or special firewall software. So always follow the guidelines of the IT department that's responsible for the systems that you are accessing. That's very important. And we always put different guidelines where we really want to touch the system and lock it down the way that organization has their security defaults. All right. That takes care of transitioning to a new computer. Remember, Windows 11, you have until October 2025. What I'm telling clients now, you have a year. I don't want to be updating systems at the last minute because we're going to go insane with clients that have to move from Windows 10 because there'll be no more security updates. So I have lots of clients where we're telling them now to budget that if you don't upgrade now, or at least when we need to replace a system or you're buying a new system, let's make sure it's compliant now. And then we don't have to worry. But next summer, I see us being incredibly busy where we're upgrading massive amounts of computers. Now, Joe wrote me the following, a story you may want to share with your listeners. I took the plunge and bought the refurbished Dell desktop from Amazon that I asked you about a few days ago. A Core i7 for a little over $300. It was supposed to have a 1 terabyte hard drive of solid state variety, along with Windows 11 Pro and built-in Wi-Fi 6 capability. As I unpacked it, I heard a rattling sound inside. Uh-oh. So I proceeded to open up the case and look inside. I found a Hitachi SSD drive made in 2006. Rattling around inside was the NVMe SSD drive, not plugged into anything. Nor could I find where it was supposed to go on the motherboard. The date of the manufacture of the box was 2008, according to a sticker inside the case. They didn't even make solid-state drives in 2008, did they? How could they ever put one on a motherboard that didn't support them? Also, there might have been a card or an adapter, I'm wondering. Also in the box was a USB Wi-Fi adapter. So much for built-in Wi-Fi capability. Well, remember the price, and that's the lesson here. Well, I booted it up and then sent it back to Amazon. Let this be a lesson to everyone. You want cheap? That's what you will get. Everybody, that is a very, very good lesson. So I want to read a review for Notion by Kate. Mike, as you know, I, like you, am a longtime Evernote user. In fact, I blame you for getting me started with Evernote back in the olden days, where we could put it on a USB drive and carry our notes around with us. So for the past couple of years, I've been actively seeking an alternative to Evernote, as I was looking into that also. The past few weeks, I've been experimenting with Notion. It turns out I really hate it, but also it might be a good Evernote alternative for you. I use Evernote for myself. I rarely share, and I never use it collaboratively. I like it for that and for its powerful search capabilities. When I was working, I could have discrete notebooks for each customer, and tagging allowed me to find solutions for problems across all my customers, and that's what I do. It also made finding notes I made for my column super easy. Also, I used it for everything else, from household appliance receipts, biking tips, yoga, and meditation stuff. I like it for all that, and the searching is great even when you forget to tag something. Now, I don't use it for anything like that. And it can handle big honking PDF files. Notion, in contrast, is meant for people working in a collaborative environment. It has a truckload of templates. You can do a personal website or a wiki. Everything is a database, and you work with blocks. It ties into your calendars. I tried the free personal version. It imported my Evernote notebooks and turned them into databases. There's a sidebar on the left-hand side of the Windows app that you can eventually arrange so it works a lot like Evernote. Notion will handle PDFs, although the free version limits the size of them. There are other limits too, that's why it's free. My problem with Notion is that even though most of the time I think I'm a pretty smart person and pretty good at stuff like this, I could not for the life of me figure out how to make a note. Why? Well, instead of a note, it wants me to create a page. Then it wants me to say what template I want to use for that page. Then it wants me to assign an icon and a header image to that page. Well, Kate, that doesn't sound like something I think I want to go through either. She continues, then where is the frigging page? 2 hours later, while I was at Home Depot trying to buy a furnace filter, I could not get back to where I had made a note on the size I needed. So, why do I think it would be good for you? Because you and your oldest son collaborate on schedules, tasks, results, and lists of things for customers. If you guys had the patience to set this up and learn it, it's likely to be a good fit in your work environment. Me? I don't have the patience. I am not a patient person either. She continues, I barely have the patience for a group chat with 3 other people who volunteer with me running a curling league. We use Instagram for this. Right now, my Evernote plan costs $179 per year, Canadian dollars. Upgrading from free to the lowest tier of Notion would cost $100 US, and that's roughly 140 Canadian right now. You can thank President Biden for your strong American dollar. And I would have to figure out how to suppress all the features I don't want and get the 4 or 5 things that I do want, and it's not worth it to me. So I'm still stuck with Evernote for the time being. My plan renews at the end of the year, and I haven't killed my Notion account. So I guess someone might be able to convince me to make the switch, but I don't think so. That's pretty much, they've pretty much got me. All right. So she goes on with some Phillies and comments in St. Louis. So, Kate, thank you for that review. I don't know. I have to take a look at this, have a conversation with my son. I don't know if I'm ready to make the move since Evernote's still in business. It's still working. I still have problems with the latest versions, but I get through them and plow through them, and I'm doing it. So now, Kate also sent an email on, are you familiar with Rocketbook? No, I'm not. It's a reusable notebook with special paper and an app that will scan the notebook pages and send them to email, Dropbox, OneDrive, OneNote, etc. That sounds cool. I've been playing with one for a couple of months, and it works pretty well for what I'm trying to do. Like just about any popular thing now, there are Facebook groups where people go to discuss the notebooks, the app, and everything from how to create templates to how to tag and file your scans. And that brings me to today's post in the Rocketbook users Facebook group. I'm just going to paste the screenshot. And this is from, I'm not going to use their name. My company's IT policies will not allow the Rocketbook app to send my company OneNote account. I can, and am doing so, send my personal email OneNote account. Does anyone know of a workaround for sending to a company or enterprise OneNote account? Kate really nails it with her response. If it's against your company's IT policies, I would advise looking for a workaround. I wouldn't advise looking for a workaround at all, much less by posting the question on a Facebook public group. Just a thought. Kate, that was great. You made my day when I was reading that email. Thank you so much. Welcome to our lives for IT support and security for corporations. Okay, I have a great email here from Dexter. All right. Some show feedback. Just listen to the show. And this was about QuickBooks. My conversations with Intuit have produced this as their product plan. Moving forward, they will only sell one desktop version, which is Enterprise. I'm going to stop right there. Yes, but not for 2024, and we don't know about 2025. So 2024, you can still buy the desktop version, and they'll honor it for a year from now till October. Next October. Now, they have one desktop version, which is going to be Enterprise, and their cloud product, which a lot of people hate, as we know. They really want everyone in the cloud. The Enterprise version was always the top of the food chain, very expensive. You can have 1 to 40 users. It was always expensive, but less expensive than others like Sage or Great Plains. The days of reasonably priced solutions may be at an end. Another product with on-prem, still for Enterprise, is AccountMate. I'm not familiar with that. A reasonably priced product for small businesses running Windows or Mac is Checkmark, and have an accounting, multi-ledger, and a PR program. On your old server issue, instead of searching for parts for old server, why not run it as a VM on the new server as you transition? That is a great idea, except for the fact that this software, we're not confident how it will run in a virtual environment. And this is an ERP manufacturing software, but Dexter, you definitely give us a great idea that I am going to discuss, and we can always test it. We can, I guess, do they still have like plate spin or something where you can take a server and get everything and then move it to a virtual machine? Because we could do that, then turn the physical server off and test that in a virtual environment on the new server. That's a great idea. And I will absolutely take that to the company, and we'll have discussions on that. Thank you, and I'll follow up. All right. We're getting to all the emails. This was from Tom, who I've met a couple times. Tom from Chicago. Hi, Mike. Hope all is well with you and your family. I have a topic segment suggestion for a show. It's been a while since you talked about what you do for maintenance or a tune-up on a Mac. I have only one that I support on a maintenance plan and backup with MagnusBox. I run Bitdefender on it through Synchro. And I'm curious, what do you do? I know years ago you had Dr. Dave Greenbaum on to talk about this. Let me know what you think. And Dave, if you're still listening, I know you would always listen to my show while you're working out. And he's now, if he's on the treadmill or what he's doing, he's now, oh my, Mike's talking to me. I would like an update, Dave. What do you run? Because Dave introduced us all to Onks. And that I will have a link into the show notes because we use Onks. And this is from Titanium Software. You just make sure you know the exact version of the Mac system, and they have an appropriate download for the utility. I always put Malwarebytes Premium. I also, and I take the defaults on Onks and run the simple maintenance. And that does a great job of cleaning up. So I'll run Malwarebytes after I install it just to clean up anything that it might find. There might be, some malware or something lingering around. I'll run Onks, and we run CCleaner for the Mac. So I'm going to have a link to the free CCleaner. So 2 free utilities. And my question out to Dr. Dave, what do you do now? Do you still do that with Onks, or do you have some new utilities? And hit me up with a voicemail or an email, and I will talk about that on an upcoming show. So, Tom, thank you for the email, and thank you, everyone, for following up, sending me emails. Remember, my email address is miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget everything, links to everything. I promise I will log into Discord. It has been a long time, and you can still sign up for Discord. It's free. That's our forums. I have been very neglectful. I will get to that, to Discord. There's a link to join up for free. That's always in the show notes. Don't forget, I already mentioned them tonight. You have the Fabs Auto Backup. I love that. We use that all the time for transferring data. And don't forget YouTube site. That's youtube.com/Michael Smith MTS. Don't forget to click subscribe. Everybody have a safe and happy week, and stay cool during the heat wave. And hopefully you are not experiencing the power issues that I have been. And certainly that story will continue, and I'll follow up how I make out and getting the generator back online And so when I get hit with the continued power outages, which if this is just a demonstration of the beginning of the summer, I'm in for a horrible summer of power. That's it. See everybody next week, same time, same channel. Bye-bye.